First of all, thank you for being here, because I know it's hard to, after the lunch, being here. I know, thank you. I usually start my presentations with a number that tries to captivate you, at least at the beginning. Maybe I will lose you at the end, but at least I will have you at the beginning. 29% is the number of production environments that are still in Java 8. So we are going to be in Java 22 soon, but there's a lot of people still in Java 8. But well, reality is one thing and ideality is another thing. So in this presentation, I will try to show you which are the features that are coming from Java 11 to Java 21, but not all of them. Basically, the ones that I like the most. The others that I don't like or I don't think are relevant, I skip them. But I want to just not only to give you a summary, because yes, I know, you can check all of this in several blog posts, yeah? So which is the value for this presentation? Well, first of all, that I'm here, so I will try to make it at least a bit funny, but also because I want to give you a brief overview of basically what's an LTS and which is the JDK that are distributed in production environments. I think an LTS is a very obvious thing, but not everyone knows exactly what's an LTS. I will try to give a bit of introduction. Yes, this is the QR for the slides, so if you want to check them out as I'm talking, perfect. Features, opinionated, but I also, before features, I will give you just first, okay, we have a lot of features from 11 to 21, but there is no magic, so you need to migrate things. And sometimes, as a famous TV series from Disney, I think, magic comes with a price. So you need to migrate that. So I will give you some, well, hints in order to migrate them. And also, I want also to show one report, well, two reports basically, that are showing which is the benefit of moving from a JDK to another one, but without touching the source code. Are we going to get any improvement? Yes, we will see that. So I will show you features from 11, 17, and 21. Not any preview features in this presentation. So if it's not final, you won't find them here. And my conclusions and references. This is me, I'm Jonathan. I'm Java champion since 2020, and I'm one of the leaders of the Barcelona Java community since 2012, and also one of the co-founders of JBCN, or now it's, we have rebranded it to DevBCN. It's a conference that we host in Barcelona every year. This next week, basically. It's going to be the 9th edition. Last one, we had like a bit more than 1,000 attendees, so let's see this year. I've been a developer for more than 30 years, using lots of languages. But one question, who has used Delphi before? Perfect. The other day I received a job offer about, for a Delphi position. I assume that somebody died or get retired. But it was great, amazing. But yeah, I haven't touched it in quite a while. But well, I also work as a developer advocate for Sonar, who is basically paying my mortgage. And if you want to know more about me, you can just scan this QR code. And yeah, let me introduce what is Sonar. Anybody here doesn't know anything about Sonar, the company behind SonarQube? So every one of you knows SonarQube. That's awesome. Well, but some of you are not using SonarLint. Who is not using SonarLint? Okay, you should do it this afternoon. It's free. It's free, totally free for commercial usages, and you can connect it to SonarQube, and you will see the report in SonarQube, and some reports will come up, will come down to SonarLint. It covers more than 30 languages at the same time, so not only Java, infrastructure as code, Kubernetes, Docker, And we also have Sonar Cloud that it's also free for open source projects. It's the hosted version. So if you are in any foundation or you have pet projects, use Sonar Cloud because it's free. OK, if you want to know more about Sonar, just ping me afterwards. I needed to say this because they are paying my trips. I brought some swag. I have 3 socks. I mean, 3 per 2. 3 socks, some pens, stickers, and glass cleaners after the talk, please. If you want to take them, please go ahead. So which is the current market for Java? Well, a lot of people think that Java is the Oracle JDK and also the maybe OpenJDK or Adoptium now. But there are more than that. In fact, we see now Oracle has more market than Amazon. But last year, it was the other way around. So, well, it's obvious because Coreto is the one that it is running in AWS. So usually, it will get more adoption than the other ones. But you can see that there are more options, not only Oracle. You can check them all. And Oracle is going down year after year. And Adoptium, it's Temurin, it's going up. So you should check which is the JDK that is really the one that you need. And regarding the vendors, well, the support for each JDK, it's different. So it's not that this so-called LTS is the same for all of them. Some have more longer support. Even for Azul, they have MTS, so it's a medium-term support. So you need to check that the different JDKs are having different features, different performances, and also different supports, commercial supports. You can check the graph here. But also, which is the JDK distribution? Well, basically, Java 8, 29%, but Java 11, 34%. So there's a lot of people in 2018. So it's been 6 years since Java 11. So what we see is that it's not easy. So it's a decision in order to move to another JDK. But sometimes because we think that moving to another JDK implies a lot of changes. I will try to show you that that's not the case. So in some cases, just moving the JDK, if you're lucky, you will get performance improvements. And now I want to talk about LTS. So LTS, before doing this presentation, well, I was investigating about all of this, and I thought, well, yes, LTS is like a common thing across all the JDKs. But that's not the case. So basically, LTS is a marketing concept made up by Oracle. So it's not something that the different vendors need to adopt or have to adopt ever. So they just simply stick to kind of LTS for commercial purposes, but every vendor has different points of view on the LTS things. As I said, even Azul has an MTS that it's not the same length as the LTS from Oracle, but well, all the vendors have kind of different LTSs just to get connected to the Oracle base. Usually, an LTS is 6 or 8 years, but that also changes. So depending on the version, the LTS is covering different length, and this can also change in the future. So we need to check which is the length for that LTS that we are using. Yes, for our pet projects or at home, maybe we don't care about the commercial support for a JDK. But for production environments, definitely you should care about which is the support for those JDKs. Most of the vendors, I would say, yeah, most of the vendors are still giving support, commercial support for Java 8, and I think it's in the, yeah. So until 2026, there's still support for Java 8. Why? Because there's a 30% of people still in Java 8. So the different versions are going to have different lengths of support. It's important to move to different LTS versions, obviously because they have new features, that's fine. But usually we don't necessarily need those features. So yes, Java 21 has virtual threads, but are we all needing virtual threads? Are we going to modify our code tomorrow to use virtual threads? Probably not. So there are different features, but not all of us are needing them. But the important point is that they have vulnerabilities fixed. This is very important. And also bug fixes. But they also have deprecations and removals. So also when you migrate to a newer version, you need to take a close look, because maybe you are breaking something. I will show you in a moment. As I told you at the beginning, sometimes we don't need to move the code from one version to another just to get improvement. There is one project called OptaPlanner. It's basically a project that helps routing, scheduling, and well, the founder of this project, Geoffrey, created a matrix saying, okay, the same source, I'm going to compile it and run it with different versions. And I'm going to run a battery of tests. And let's see if I see any improvement. Well, basically, he discovered that just moving from 11 to 17, there was an improvement of around 9% without touching a line of code, just only changing the JDK that was used in order to build and to run the application. But from 16 to 17, only a 2.4 improvement. He did the same with another project. So he left Red Hat with this project, and he founded another company called Timefold. And with this project, he did the same, comparing 21 versus 17. The same case as before. And only for one of the tests, the improvement was 3-point-ish improvement. But for all the other tests, the improvement didn't reach the 2% improvement. So in this case, coming from 17 to 21 was only a 2% improvement. But coming from 11, we saw that it was around a 9% improvement. So just only modifying the JDK that it's used in order to build and run the application, if you are in 11 and you go to 21, you are going to improve in around 11%. Well, that's not bad. It's interesting. And without touching a line of code, if it compiles. Migration. So if it compiles. Well, there are some changes that will imply that you touch your code. So for instance, in Java 21, there are new Java APIs that are allowing you to sort in a descending in a reverse order your collections. If you created a collection and you inherited a collection and you created a method called getFirst, guess what? It's going to do a compile time error because JDK 21 already have a getFirst method. So you will have to do some changes. Also, there are removed features. You need to check all of those changes and see if they are clashing with your current code. But also, there are new things that maybe you can leverage on, and then you can improve the performance of your code. So if you can use virtual threads, then if you move to virtual threads, that's an improvement. So one is, well, you need to update all your libraries, definitely. Then check for all the issues that are going to appear from deprecation issues with naming clashes, remote features, and then say, okay, I'm going to rely on the new features from Java 21 in this case in order to make it run faster. So there are like several options to do this, but one is going to the Oracle migration guides, and then you can see all the changes that you need to do or all the problems that you are going to face from old code to Java 17 or to Java below 21 to Java 21. You can do it manually. Maybe it's fun. I don't know. Or you can use tooling. For tooling, you can use Sonarlint, for instance, that has several rules that are going to check specific features for different Java versions. Or you can use Open Rewrite. Open Rewrite is a tool that will analyze your code, and according to several rules that you are going to say, okay, I'm going to use these recipes, Open Rewrite is going to modify all your code and create new changes. And they have lots and lots of rules, and you can even migrate from different versions, from Spring, why not, or Quarkus, but you can also use it to migrate to Java 11 or 17 or 21. And it will change a lot of the code that it is clashing with previous versions or that can rely on the new usage of the new Java versions. And it's going to do it automatically. So now that we see the different parts of the JDK versions, migration, and performance, let's go into the Java opinionated features list. So basically, for Java 11, there are 124 CVE fixes, and basically around 7 features that are the ones that I've chosen to show. So basically, new string methods, file methods, collections to array, the not predicate, HTTP client, running Java files directly, and TLS 1.3. We have HTTP client that it is different than what we had before, and now it supports HTTP 1.2. So basically, we create a new builder and we send. That's the difference, the new HTTP client. So that's a good feature in order to be faster in order to create clients. With running Java files, before we needed to do Java-C and the Java file, and then Java and the Java.jar file. Now we can just simply do the Java file, and it will compile it and run it in one step. There are several API changes. So for string methods, now we have is blank, lines, strip leading. Well, we have several methods that are going to make, well, more consistent way of treating them. Also with file methods, now we have read string and write string that we didn't have before. With collections to arrays, well, now we have, from a collection, we have the method to an array. So it's easy. And the not predicate that we didn't have before, and now we can filter for the opposite. So these are the new API changes that introduced in Java 11. With the new TLS 1.3, there are some of the features implemented, but not all of them. And, well, this is the summary of all the features, handshake, session resumption. Well, you can read them all. But basically, this TLS 1.3 is something that incorporated some of the features of the standard, not all of them. Then with Java 17, I will add several features coming from the different intermediate versions. From Java 12, we have, again, new string methods in order to, well, in this case, indent or accept a function to transform a string. It's also very convenient, this new transform, because we can have a function that is going to be applied to transform the string. With file, now we have a mismatch that is going to compare two complete files and see if they are different and where. There is an important feature here. It's a thing collector. So if you need to stream a collection, sum all the elements, and then get the average value for them. Before, well, usually you needed to do a loop, summing all the elements, and then once you have finished the loop, divide by the number of the elements. Now, thing collector accepts three different functions. One is the one that is going to be applied to the element, the other one is the one that is going to be applied to the element, and the last it's going to be applied to the two levels, the two values after streaming the collection. There is a compact number format, not super interesting, but now we can just simply say, okay, instead of outputting 1,000, just put it as 1K or 2,000. Well, this is a simple thing in order to format numbers. There is more helpful information in the null pointer exceptions. Now we see where the null pointer exception happens. So in this case, we have a.b.c.i. If C is null, is going to give a null pointer exception in that line. But after JDK 14, we have an explanation why we have a null pointer exception. So who created the null pointer exception? In this case, because A is null, and then we know exactly which is the element that caused the null pointer exception. Before, in Java 14, we needed to enable this feature, but it's already by default in Java 15 and above. Also, there is an important feature that is switch expressions. So instead of having a regular switch where we have breaks in the middle and it's hard to read, well, tools like Sonar can measure which is the cognitive complexity of a method, and it's very important because we are going to spend way more time reading than writing. So I don't know who thinks that that one is easier and clearer to be read compared to the right one. I don't know. It's way clear that this other case is faster, and we will get rid of the breaks, but also of the intermediate variables assignment, because the switch is returning a value at the end without having intermediate variables. With Java 15, we have the zero garbage collector that, well, it's based on having low latency. And, well, you need to enable it with a parameter in the JDK. It doesn't have, so it says it has sub-millisecond pause times. So in this case, you will not see pauses in the middle when it is being executed. But, well, you need to check if this zero garbage collector is the one for you, or you have to use another one. But yeah, they introduced these changes on Java 15. With text blocks, introduced also in Java 15, now we have like the 3 double quotes, where we can just simply have text in multiple lines, so we don't have to do a string concatenation with a plus at the end of each string. In Java 16, we have pattern matching for instance of. In this case, before, so we had like, if we have an object and we need to know if this object is a string, we need to do the instance of. But now, and we also had to have a typecast and use it, okay? But now, we have already a typecast and a variable in the same line of the instance of, and then we are going to use it right away. So this is making things easier, and without having this possibility of having a mismatch between the type used in the instance of and the type used in the typecast. So it's more concise. And but then we have records. So usually, we have classes that have data and behavior. But a lot of them are only having data, so they are not having behavior. If we move to Java records, this is way easier. So we are reducing a lot of code because it's already provided by the compiler. So in this case, the two codes are exactly the same. So it's only one line to define the record. And here it's a class that contains a private final because this is final. So we cannot modify a record. So as we have to go to immutability, as much as we can, we should move to records. I know that also, I think Hibernate is also considering the usage of records in the future, so because it's the way to go instead of using classes. Now they cannot do it because they need default constructors for the entities, and a record doesn't have default constructors. So you have all the elements in the constructor. So you cannot create a record without saying which are the values for its elements. That's why they still are not in there, but I assume that sooner or later they will move to records. Well, this feature, yeah, I think that sometimes people in the JDK, they say, okay, let's do one thing that it is fun more than productive. And yeah, it's like if instead of having the time, it's going to say 3 in the afternoon. Well, yes, it's, well, in some cases, if you want regular and cohesive format of doing one thing, that it is giving human expression values to values, this is right. As we saw before with the numbers, that they are trying to give this human expression when you say numbers. In this case, it's the same with dates. So it's trying to not use custom methods in order to give human values. This is a very, for me at least, a very important feature in Java 16. So, as we said before that we should go to immutability. Before Java 16, if we had a collection that we streamed, we transformed, finally, in order to get the list of those transformed elements, we needed to use collectors. In this case, we were using a collector to list. But interestingly enough, this list is a mutable list. And we shouldn't have that. Instead of having a mutable list, we should have an unmutable list. So, in this case, there was another way saying collectors, instead of to list, it's to unmodifiable list. And then it will return an unmodifiable list. But it's too verbose, and it still depends on collectors. So what they have created is a method directly from streams that is going to return an unmodifiable list. So every time that we stream and map a collection, We use toList, and voila, we have an unmodifiable list that we can use directly without having to use collectors. I think it's a very interesting one. There's another feature in Java 17 that it is about sealed classes. Okay, so sealed classes. Basically, we are defining who can inherit, who can implement a class from a given list. In this case, we are saying, okay, we have the class shape that it is sealed, and this class only permits circle, rectangle, square, and weird shape to implement it. If we try to extend this class from a class that it is not in that list, it will do a compile time error. So we can constrain which are the classes that can extend our classes. We can override that, and we can specify a non-sealed class in the middle of the hierarchy, and then all classes will be able to inherit from that non-sealed class in this case. But basically, this is mainly focused for those that are creating libraries, and you can define which is the class that can simply extend your classes. And now we go to Java 21 that also fixes 8 CVEs. It's super important to be aware of the CVEs. Nowadays, there are lots of tools like, I don't know, Snyk, Sonatype, and others that can check with SCA, can check your libraries and see if there are CVEs on them. I totally recommend you to take a look to those tools too. Let's see which are the things that I've chosen from Java 21, basically, or the features that are final in Java 21, coming from Java 17. So in this case, we have code snippets. Well, what we do is we specify a piece of code in the Java doc, and then when we generate the Java docs, it will be generated colorful, let's say, okay, as if it was code. And also, some IDEs can also interpret the code that it is inside, and then it will give you the IntelliSense and an auto-completion on that. Well, so basically, if you want to include pieces of code inside your Java docs, yeah, in Java 18 we have it. Now also we have, in Java 21, sequenced collections. So basically, before Java 21, collections did, unless they were like specified ones, we didn't have this concept of order, basically. And if we wanted to reverse, so we have a collection and we want to reverse the collection and do some things, we needed to do it manually, or we needed to use specific sorted maps, for instance. But now they have introduced this concept of sequenced, where we have add first, add last, get last, and remove first and remove last. But also we have this reversed method that will give us a list of the reverse list of the elements. Well, in this case, if for you an order for the collection is important, if you can just play with the order of them, then using sequence collections that are already included in the whole hierarchy of collections, it's a good way to go. In this case, they are also disabling the dynamic loading of agents. So before this, you could have an agent that it is running into the JDK, but now you have to explicitly say that you want that agent. So this is also something that in the future, for several people that are using agents, are going to be impacted. We have also record patterns for records. So in this case, with Java 21, we can have the instance of, and then we have the record, with the values already in the variables. Before that, we needed to do the instance of, then use the variable, and then access the attributes of the record. Now we have them directly. Well, it's another step in order to make code more concise and less verbose. Finally, we have virtual threads. Virtual threads are based on platform threads that are directly related to the machine threads. But in this case, several virtual threads can share the same platform thread. So before you could have, I don't know, 10 platform threads. Now you can have millions of virtual threads. And they are going to execute, and when you have an I/O access part, they will release the thread, and then it will be used by another virtual thread. And then you can have lots of them. If you are doing tasks that are heavy, maybe virtual threads are not solving anything. But if you are having tasks that are light, you have a lot of them, and you have I/O calls in the middle, maybe virtual threads is the one to go. And they introduced it in Java 21. Also, they have introduced pattern matching for switch. As you can see here, we have here, well, you need to do an instance of for each one of the types, and then do whatever you want with an intermediate variable assignment. But now, you can just simply have a switch on the object, but based on the type of the object. So that first line, that is, if object instance of integer, it's the one that we have. Case integer, do whatever you want. So this is, again, a concise way of doing things, less verbose, and basically focusing the developers in order to use the same approach to solve the same things, because this is also very important if you want to be, well, clean code approach or try to improve the performance of your developers. Well, I'm reaching the end. Are you still with me or sleeping? Fine? Okay, perfect. Yeah, I know it's hard to see someone explaining a list of features. Yeah, I can check them online, but yeah, I think it was a bit faster to see me instead of checking them. Well, basically, it's important to consider what's an LTS and consider that it's not something that it is regular for everyone, that there are like different scopes for LTS, and that we have different vendors, and we need to choose the one that it is the best for us, not only the one that we've been using for several years. In some cases, maybe the Azul one or the Bellsoft one is the right one for us instead of the Oracle or the Red Hat one. Also, that, well, this is not a surprise. Most of the users are still in Java 8 or 11. So, yes, one thing is the trend. One thing is the motivation for people like me to stay here, but another thing is reality, and reality is that it's not easy to migrate from the JDK. But as you saw, just only migrating the binaries, so the JDK that it is compiling and running, you are going to see some kind of performance, and it's a step. Then you can just use the other tools in order to migrate from one version to the other. Also, there are bug fixing and CVs that it is super important, that maybe it can happen to you, what it happened to me years ago, that I was super happy because I didn't suffer from viruses. I'm talking about Windows 95. And I was super happy. Yeah, I don't have viruses. Well, the thing was that I didn't have any antivirus. the first day that I installed an antivirus, I was unhappy. Yeah, I have lots of viruses. With this, it's the same. You are in a reality, but then if you check how many CVEs are fixed in the next version of JDK that you are not using, you are going, maybe you can start panicking. It's like, okay, so I don't have those CVEs backported to my JDK. Most of them are backported to Java 8, but not to the others. So maybe it's time to check the CVEs that you are missing and start thinking about migrating the JDK. And yeah, finally, that Java is alive, very alive. It's not, the world doesn't end on a famous green leaf framework. There are way more things out there. You can have Quarkus, you can have Micronaut, you can have Helidon, you can have a lot of things that are going to be fun. And yeah, you can use nowadays Java in Kubernetes. They have also added container awareness, where you can see that now Java can really know which are the limits introduced to a pod definition. So now Java is great for desktop, well, desktop, not desktop, for backend as usual, but also for Kubernetes, and also can be compiled into native if you use one of those ahead of time compilation frameworks. Yeah, basically that's it. These are the references if you want to check more about this topic. And that's it. These are my slides. And please, 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 if you didn't like the presentation, fine, go to feedback and tell me. But if you did like it, also tell me. Thank you very much. Well, if you have questions, yeah, I think we have plenty of time. Oh no. I don't know. Okay, go ahead, I can hear you.
In our organization, we use Java, of course, and we migrate to Java 21, like in month.
Yeah, great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we migrate to Java 21 in the past month. It was less hard than we thought. It was quite okay, like 1 million line of code. But we see there we have some problem about the reflection.
Okay.
Because from Java 17 or maybe 11, Java doesn't allow the reflection to the inner module. And we face some problem about some libraries like H2O library. There's a machine learning library, and this library doesn't allow to. We cannot use the reflection anymore. Okay. What do you think about that? I think it could be a problem for the future. There's all libraries that they use the reflection is not even possible on Java 21. Thank you.
I was not aware of that. The thing is that, yes, you need to check each library if the library can be, if you can upgrade to a newer version of the library that supports the new version. Regarding reflection, I was not aware of that. I will check that because it's interesting. I never heard of it. So thank you very much. But yeah, then I assume that a lot of libraries can suffer from that, right? I'm curious about if, so you did it manually, or you used any tool?
We did it manually.
Manually.
Yeah. We have some problem about you fixed a lot of tests, but we don't have so much problem about the code that runs.
Okay,
it's quite okay. We have some bugs about that, and we try to fix it. We have a lot of tests that's even not passed. But yeah, the main problem are about the reflection.
Okay, I would love to see. I will talk to Tim that he's behind Open Rewrite. He's around. He's over there. That maybe there's a recipe or a rule that can check for that particular case. But if not, yeah, I will check that, and we can be in contact, and then we can talk more about that. Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Okay. More questions? Anybody has used Open Rewrite? Oops. Okay, but for the rest, definitely try it. It's open source, it's free, and you have a lot of recipes. So definitely go for it. It's a very interesting tool. More questions? No? Okay, freeze for a second, and then you can come and take all the swag that I... But maybe you can be so, I don't know, a bit happy or something. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.